Any rebroadcast, reproduction, or other use of this show without the express written consent of the Financial Guys, LLC is strictly prohibited.
Investment advisory services offered through Independent Solutions Wealth Management and Blackridge Asset Management, LLC. Peak Broker Services, LLC is not an affiliate of Independent Solutions or Financial Guys, LLC.
Welcome to TFG Truth, folks, where our goal each and every week is to report facts, expose hypocrisy, and espouse common sense. It seems to be lacking tremendously in our society right now. We are in our Jupiter, Florida office and are pleased to have with us someone who's prominent here in this Palm Beach County area, also a financial advisor, so we're going to talk a little bit about that. We are joined right now by the Palm Beach County Commission District 3 candidate, John Maples. John, thank you for doing this.
Mike squared.
Yeah, that's right.
Mike squared. There we go. Yeah, it's becoming. We might have to get shirts.
I know.
Mike squared pictures.
You guys got to brand that. That's
We might have to with our little bodies that you see on the podcast pictures.
We'll get a picture of Kevin from Pendleton too, because he was the one that named us that.
Love it. So we are happy to be here, folks, and we're happy to be with someone who's also sort of a conservative-minded, which is not always well received in every area that you are in the country these days, but conservative-minded guy looking to run for the Palm Beach County District 3 candidacy, right? Tell us a little bit about you first, I guess personally, professionally.
Yeah, well, guys, thanks for having me, and really excited to be here on such a great podcast with like-minded people. I am a native of Florida, born and raised in Panama City Beach, Florida. Now, many of you don't know where that is. The sand's a little different. There's not many palm trees. It's a little different, but it's in the Panhandle, a little north here. And I went to school at Palm Beach Atlantic, met my wife there. My 15-year anniversary is next week.
All right. Congratulations.
That's great.
So, very nice.
I'm a little under the pressure here to try to figure out what to do for that. But,
we'll have great ideas for it. Our wives, I'm sure they'd both say, oh, yeah, these guys, these are the guys to ask.
Right?
Oh, man, colorblind guy here. I can't help you too much.
Yeah. And so I went to Palm Beach Atlantic. I was an All-American basketball player there, and most of my life growing up was around being an athlete. And so, in school, my dad said, hey, son, look, if you want to be successful in life, it's great to be an athlete, but you got to get your degree in computers. That's the hardest degree in school. How about PE? I mean, that sounds nice.
Right.
Yeah, no.
I'm good at that, right?
Right. He goes, so you got to have a degree in computers. So ultimately, I got my degree in computers. And from there, I wanted to understand how money worked. And so I became a stockbroker. And from there, I've been with Northwestern as an advisor now for the last 9 years. And I manage money and do insurance and planning for folks. And I am also a government advocate for Northwestern, which means I go to D.C. a couple times a year. I talk to our current elected officials about money, taxes, just kind of advocating for things that are relevant to their constituents here in Palm Beach County and all over Florida. Through that, I said, look, man, we can really make a difference. We need more conservative people in politics. Now, John, the way things are going these days, if you say the wrong thing, the cancel culture or the mob will get you. And do you really want to put your family through that? And so it took a lot of prayer and just talking to some advisors and mentors around me to decide, hey, I want to do this. I feel like this is my call and this is where I'm supposed to be. And so ultimately, that's why I ran for county commission in Palm Beach County. In this past cycle in 2020, it was pretty cool. My name was on the ballot with President Trump, and it's like,
no kidding.
That's awesome.
John Maples. I was like, oh man, I made it.
He's a pretty prominent guy.
Yeah,
especially down in Palm Beach County.
Yeah.
A little place called Mar-a-Lago.
Did you frame that thing? I would have framed that. I would have put that in every office in my house.
I kept it, but I lost that race. I got 40,000 votes. The incumbent got 60,000 votes, and so I'm at this crossroad, just kind of deciding. Do I run again? What do I do now? What's next for me? And I'm definitely going to run again because I've always worked hard. I've always been successful. And you work hard, you commit, you don't give up, you lose, you get knocked down, you get back up, you keep fighting. So one of those guys with that constant movement, motivation, and so I'm definitely going to run again, and we're just trying to figure out what seat best fits.
Yeah. Sounds awesome. A little Trump-like, the get knocked down, get back up again. It sounds like his whole life. Just a couple things. So, being a conservative, like I was never very politically motivated until like probably 5 to 10 years ago. Mm-hmm. I was always just nose to the grindstone, work your tail off, make a living, keep trying to make the best choices every day, right? But then I started to realize, to me, conservative became those who contribute versus those who don't contribute. And whatever contribution is in your life, just do that, right? Whatever you're capable of doing, whether it's being a financial advisor, being a home and auto insurance agent, and running a company that you now run, being a clergyman, being a social worker, whatever that is, just contribute, right? Don't just take from all the rest of us, right? That was, in my mind, sort of conservative, and just having like sort of this compass every day, just help people do the right thing. What's your idea of conservative now that you're a little bit more politically involved?
Yeah, that's a great question, because I think conservative means many different things to many different people, right? And some people, as you said, it's for a season is standing on the sidelines and watching how things are going. Then 5 years is jump in and let's go. We need more people. For me right now, being conservative is staying true to my core belief in who I am. I'll probably get in trouble for this, but a man's a man, a woman's a woman. That's how my folks taught me, and that's what I grew up as. And so for me, that's pretty basic. I want my daughter, a 10-year-old, to be able to go in the bathroom with all the girls, like
amen,
and go play sports,
play basketball,
play volleyball with all the girls, and do all the things that she does with all the girls. And so just some of the basics of at the core of who we are, and just having a voice that represents that, and not letting that through the cancel culture, through whatever, get looked over and not have someone stand up and fight for that.
And that's what we've talked about with many guests, but I think that's the worst part for us is you have that belief, right? And then you're a bad person for having that belief. There's no more debate anymore, or let's have a conversation, let's sit down and talk about it. It's now you're just a horrible human being because you don't believe what they believe, right? And that's really become an issue, and every guest we've talked to, we've had the same thing where you almost are walking on eggshells, not almost, you're walking on eggshells anytime you're in a room with someone, right? You don't know, am I going to offend them? Are they going to come after me? Are they going to call me this or that? Right. So that's what's sad about it, and that's what for me, what has gotten me so interested in politics now is it's such a crazy world we live in, and I want to help fix that because I think it's a real problem, and I think people like us that are level-headed and can have conversations can do a good job fixing that problem. But
tell us a little bit about your encounters with President Trump. I mean, he is such an impressive guy. And impressive in so many ways, and obviously controversial, and the maybe excessive tweeting and all that, and some of the more personal comments he might make, insulting comments against people. Like, what a guy! Like he has so many sides to him. What have your encounters with him been like, and what's been most impressive, do you think, about him in your mind?
Yeah, so at the end of the day, I'm a performance-driven kind of guy, right? It's when you're on a scholarship to play basketball, coach, wants results. You're on a full ride to go to school here, man. We need results, and that's what it is. And so this country needed results. Ultimately, President Trump said, hey, we're going to do this, 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 and this. And he delivered exactly this, 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 and this. No one is perfect. Sometimes you got to take some of the idiosyncrasies or quirks that a person may have. But at the end of the day, what has he done for this country? And it's been positive across the board. There's no mistaking the greatness that President Trump brings to the table. He'll go down as one of the greatest presidents of all time.
We believe that. No question.
It's President Lincoln.
Right.
And they both only had their 4-year deal. You know what I mean? And so I'm hoping that people wake up and see that when history is said and done, what did he do? What was his actions? What can you actually look and compare that he accomplished for this country?
No
for
question.
each of us, no matter what color you are. I don't, was he a good president for all of us? Yes.
Sometimes people will think like he wanted to pit each other, like all of us against each other. And I think his character traits wouldn't have even allowed that to be the case, because he's very success driven, right? Performance driven. I don't think he cared if you were, male, female, white, black, Asian, whatever. He just would look at it and say, and even the people he had working for him,
right?
If they were doing a good job for that moment in time, he liked them. He wanted them in those positions. Yeah. But he wasn't afraid to say, that was a great 1 year, but I need a different person now for the new challenges.
Right.
Like, to me, that's all based on merit, based on what can you do to keep pushing this forward with me as the leader. Like, I don't think he really felt animosity toward anybody. He was so performance driven. And I think everyone wants to make it sound like, oh, he's against this and this and that and this and that.
But what's sad about that is if you don't know any better, based on what you read, that's what you think, right? If you scroll your Twitter feed, all you think is, okay, he's a racist. Okay, he doesn't like women. Okay, he's sexually assaulted this, right? And that's all you read all day. And we say this all the time. That's the problem with it. I grew up in the generation of the first, the Twitters, the Facebooks, the MySpace, all that stuff. Kids, what they get now, it's scary. It's scary to think about what the future holds, because all kids get right now is, a Twitter feed, and they take that as the gospel, and it's a scary thought where we're going to go.
Right.
Yeah. So.
And the cancel culture has really, it's almost taken people off of Twitter when you'd hear an opposing view, which is really scary.
Yeah.
Like that new social media companies need to form so that our voices can be heard. Like, that's scary. I never thought we were going down that road, but
you're a basketball guy, so I got to ask you. So LeBron James last week or 2 weeks ago, whatever it was, with his, we'll get into policing later, but his comments, and to go to the cancel culture, the comment he made about that officer, calling him out, you're next, right? That goes to 50 million followers, probably plus, because more people saw it than that.
Right.
He's still allowed to be on Twitter every day. Right, he's still allowed to post whatever he wants. Donald Trump has a rally at the Capitol on January 6th, and he is taken off of Twitter because he is inciting violence and riots. Where are we going with that? I mean, there's no one side's accountable and one side's not. To me, it seems that's another very scary thing. We're truly censoring one whole side of the world or the country, and not the other. What are your thoughts on that? Because I'm curious to.
Yeah, that's a very dangerous game. And I think, the people who, it's about control, right? They want to let conservatives know, if you don't abide by our rules, that whether or not you think you're right, we will not play ball with you. And unfortunately, it's a very, very dangerous game, because I think what's important is that every person wants to know that they've been heard, at least, heard, understood, somebody's actively listening. And it takes both sides of a story to actually really kind of form an opinion. If you deliver only one side, then people start to take that as law, and their view or their perspective, they may have a paradigm shift to things that are not healthy and not good. And taking that shot, LeBron's a phenomenal athlete. I think at the core, I think he's a decent human being. He's a good human being. But there's some things that you got to take a step back from. And a lot of these guys are saying, hey, meet with us. Let's have a conversation.
Absolutely.
Which I think saw that one officer said that.
Which is key, right? So that way we can help you at least understand this perspective. Because right now you only have your perspective, and maybe we can broaden your horizon and your experience a little bit, so you can be a little bit more conscious when you go to send out your tweet. Let me rethink that for a second here, based on my experience and what I've learned.
Well, and I think too, the world at your fingertips doesn't help either, because it's right there. A second you want to say something, boom, that's done.
That's
There's no thought behind that, right? Just boom, okay, that's out. And then what he did. I mean, I'm glad he deleted it, but he knew. He knew after a few minutes there that I probably got to take that down, and he ended up doing that. But the damage was already done, and
that's true. I think him having that broad following and for completely deserved. This guy is amazing. I mean, and to be able to speak to like millions, tens of millions of people like that is such a golden opportunity to not just bash the guy and criticize the guy, but say, like these cops have done, let's get together. Maybe like together we can figure out better training. Maybe we place limits on how long these cops are out in the streets, like in those high pressure. I can't get over that. Like when I hear of police officers in their 20 and 25 years of doing what they do every day, wondering, am I going to make it home tonight? Like driving around here in Florida, you see cops pulling people over. All I have in my head now is, man, I hope it's all good here. Mm-hmm. I hope that whoever's behind the wheel, is going to comply and, live. That should not be how we're thinking about these people. Right. But there should be rules. Maybe a LeBron James could step in and say, listen, I have a pretty big following, but I don't want to screw it up. Mm-hmm. I want to actually, like we say, speak some common sense. Defunding the police. My goodness, what's Minnesota going to turn into? What's Portland? We always say Portland's still burning. It's like, what's going on, right? So maybe you can give us your thoughts on where you've seen things go. I mean, we had 2 terms of President Obama. Then we had President Trump come in. I feel like the pendulum just went a little too far left. And then Trump comes in, it starts going back to the right. Mm-hmm. President Biden, Kamala Harris, they win. Everyone was thinking, oh my goodness, what could happen? People like us. And the markets have continued to be good. It's interesting, all the bluster of Trump and the left and the media just causing all this havoc. It seems like it hasn't really affected the overall markets, but just in terms of we talk about how President Biden and Kamala Harris ran on unity. Bringing people together. We need to get this nasty guy out of the White House. He's creating hatred and all this animosity and division. We've seen only the opposite. Yeah. We haven't seen unity with this Biden-Harris team. Mm-hmm. She hasn't even yet gone down to the border. She's been assigned this immigration control. Like this is not about unity to them.
She got a new job yesterday, too. She's in charge of jobs now, too. So she's got 2 big jobs on her hands now. So we'll see how that goes.
It just makes you wonder, are they just trying to appeal to the further, more progressive left side? Or are they thinking they should try to bring us together? It just doesn't seem it to me.
Yeah. Being a little bit more in politics now, and I think, I understand the Senate and the House and having the majority or an either or, when you can't, pass bills together and you got to kind of trump one another and we're going to go beyond that and do our thing. That just means that you're not working together. You're not willing to hear. Mm-hmm. And I got to be honest with you. I think that if you're actively listening, I think everyone you can learn something from everyone.
I agree.
So in that vein, in that thought, I think that it's important to have everyone at the table for unity, create unity, and to work together. And the challenge is that if the current administration, and guys, I'm an American. Let me be clear. I am an American. If someone were to attack the country, most of my family's military. President Biden sent them over. I want the USA to win.
Yep, no doubt.
Okay? Yep. When my brother goes over to Afghanistan, his plane says United States of America. Mm-hmm. No matter who's driving it, President Trump, President Biden, I want our country to win. Yeah. At the end of the day, I want this country to be successful and to win. That's at the core of who I am, because at the end of the day, I want my family to be safe. I want them to have all the opportunity that I have. So with that being said, we need each other. Right. We need to create that unity.
And that's the thing, I think that's the biggest difference between both sides. And people can say what they want about Donald Trump, be my guest, but I think that guy wanted America to win and truly believed in America. Yeah. Loved it, loves the country, loves our people, wants us to win. And that word you keep using before we even started, you keep saying win. I love that, because that's Mike Lomas always says that, right? Oh, yeah. Somebody's got to win. Our business partner says all the time. Somebody's got to win. It's going to be us. But, that is one thing I think is the difference between a Donald Trump and what's there now. One guy that truly does care about us and does want to just bring America to the highest level it can be. Right. And then you have another side that is more concerned about things that, and this is not an issue per se, but, hey, let's do this for these people and not for these people. Hey, let's do this for that over there and not for this over here.
Right.
And that's it's just not the way to get this again, right? Yeah. Making us thrive as a nation, just like business. Business gets better when it's thriving, right? Mm-hmm. Businesses don't get better when you do better and then I get left behind, right? You got to come together and think together. What's the best way to be a team, right? It's like a sport.
Right. Seems like, better than us, right? It's the idea that everyone can win versus if there's winners, there's going to be losers, right?
Right.
Trump, I think, he believes everyone can win. Right. What is it? The rising tide lifts all boats. I mean, it literally can. It can. I really, what I have always been bothered by was this idea that government needs to provide, and I always would be bothered by that because, in my life, we chatted a little before the podcast. It was about getting a paper route and making $14 a week and earning money to get my first car. And then it was, all right, I need to go to college. How am I going to pay for it? I worked. So it was always about what do I need to do to keep moving up? And I don't know what even the goal was. I just had that belief, though. Right. Every day I need to do something to get ahead and keep progressing and be better. Exactly. Yep. What you do, though, when you just hand out and you get people so dependent on government, they'll never feel the successes that I felt. I every time I made it to a new position, a new degree, certification, whatever, it's so rewarding. Yeah. And you're taking that, you're stealing that from people. That really bothers me. Will they live okay if they're getting help with their homes or whatever services? They'll be okay. But I can't imagine how they don't live with some sort of feeling of resentment that, wow, I'm stuck in this little compartment and others are just breaking through that ceiling and maybe getting better cars or maybe, you know what I mean? Going on vacations when they could otherwise not. That is really, to me, very upsetting that the government steps in and dictates how much people can be successful.
And that's why I think, again, not everybody's an athlete. I get that, but sports are so important in life. And I really believe that you know way better than we do because you played a collegiate sport. I didn't. I don't know if you did. I did not.
Nope.
But, I played high school sports, and that being part of a team and going after a common goal for us, for the football team, it was to play at the Bill Stadium because if you won enough games in your years, you got to play at the Bill Stadium. That was a big deal, right? So we were all fighting for a common goal to get there, and you learn how to work inside a team, and you also learn how to achieve something or try to achieve something, right? And I think that's just gone completely away, right? There's no emphasis on trying to be great anymore. It's how do you be mediocre? That's the way to be, right? Mediocre is the way to be, and that's what's so sad.
Yeah, John, do you think that we'll get back to that kind of idea that we can all be united and we can actually, like you just said, Mike, work toward a common goal that we can all agree on?
Yeah, I think we can, and that's the great news. But it starts with taking responsibility. So here's how we're not going to win, right? And you guys just going to be a little bit dramatic, and maybe we'll get past it. But they may tell you, Mike squared, because you're both white, that you guys are white. You had some kind of advantages over me. I'm black, for the podcast people listening. And ultimately, while I've been in the business of financial services for 13 years, what I've found that not every white male who's successful got a handout or had their family's money. They busted their rear end just like the next guy. So to assume that every white male has some kind of advantage over me being a black person is ridiculous.
Right.
What did you say? Hey, John, I had to take some responsibility. I had to find what was next. Listen, in this country, if there's opportunities, and man, there's people who want to help you if you don't have the opportunities. Do I believe that some of the programs to help people get off the ground are important? 100%. I give a lot of money away to churches, to nonprofits. I serve on boards. I really feel like, man, if we could just lift people a little bit, and if they want to take responsibility, they can take that and run. Yeah. And the sky's the limit for their families. So ultimately, it's going to get back to us taking responsibility for ourselves, for our families, and then pressing forward.
Right.
As I said, as an athlete, coach wants performance. He wants responsibility, and I have to personally take responsibility to get there, or he's going to let me go. I'm just not going to be good enough. So ultimately, I've learned that through sports, that working together as a team, no matter what color you are, we've got a common goal, and we've got to achieve that, and we've got to put aside some of the pettiness, take responsibility for our actions, and work towards that goal.
Yeah.
And I think it's we've turned into an excuse making society, right? You can't get somewhere. It's because the color of your skin. It's what gender you are. It's because you grew up with money. You didn't grow up with money, right? There's always an excuse. But I think at the end of the day, I always say this to people: life's a battle. You just got to battle, right? Like I wish it was easy, right? Like I don't love working 80 to 100 hours a week always. Like I'd like to relax on a Saturday maybe once in a while, but you just, it's a battle and you got to fight. And if you don't want to fight, that saying, survival of the fittest, right? That's what it is, right? You got to battle and you got to fight, and every day is a different day, and life's tough. It was never meant to be easy. And I'm 28 saying that, but I truly believe that life has never been easy, never will be easy. Right. No matter what programs you have or whatever, life is a tough thing, and you're going to have to deal with it, right?
But it can be rewarding when it's tough. Like that's one of the cooler things is anytime you have a little adversity in your life, it kind of speaks to what kind of person are you? Are you going to be the one that just says, I can't do it? Or are you going to say, I can do this? But as you just said, I might need a little help.
Yeah.
Like I might need to talk to my new friend here to give me a little help, right? I might have to talk to my pal Mike and say, listen, I don't think I can do this alone. Would you be willing to help me out?
Yeah.
But I want to succeed. And I think that's what the breakdown in America has been. It's like you're over there, I'm over here. You think that way, I think this way, and it's just so unfortunate. Let's before we talk a little bit about Palm Beach County and the commission that you're running for, what do you think about the conservative movement? Do you think that President Trump will continue to be sort of in the the leadership of this whole conservative movement?
Yeah, I believe he's definitely going to be a strong presence in that space, in that arena for conservatives, and we're fortunate that he lives right here in Mar-a-Lago. And I believe that he cares deeply for this country, and I feel like, for me, I think he believes it's his responsibility. And sometimes the responsibility of things that are so massive, and sometimes they fall to an individual. Hey, man, unfortunately, you drew the short end of the stick on this one. The weight of all of this, we need you. And so I believe he's a winner, and I believe he's going to take responsibility to help candidates, to help people get to where they need to be in position to help continue to move this country forward.
I'm just curious, do you think he runs again, though, or do you think he positions someone else to run?
You know what? I his health dictates that. And right now, way too early to tell, but I believe his health would dictate whether or not he runs or positions somebody else to run again. I think either way he's going to be,
somewhere in there doing something.
Somewhere in the mix, stirring the pot up.
I know he has big, broad shoulders, and he's been able to really put this huge burden on them and take us places that we probably never thought he could. I thought it was interesting when people were criticizing President Biden for, seemingly kind of the lapse of cognitive ability and communication skills and all that. And he said, 78, 79 years old is not old. This isn't about him being too old. He said, I don't know. And he was very respectful. He didn't bash President Biden. He stayed away from that. But he said, this is just about being competent, right? I mean, that's essentially what he said. I'm paraphrasing, but it wasn't about age, and I thought that was pretty enlightening. It's just about ability. It's about, are you capable? And you said you're performance driven. Our jobs are very performance driven, and I thought that was pretty enlightening. He's a smart guy. So
for sure.
Hopefully he stays there at the leadership position of this drive.
I do want to touch on, because we talked a little bit about, I don't know if you had this on your list, but the COVID or coronavirus, I should say, and where we are on that right now. You're in Florida. Mm-hmm. We're predominantly in New York.
Yeah.
Much different areas right now.
God bless Governor DeSantis.
Yeah, I agree with it. That's what we say on the radio every week, and we mean that.
Too.
Right?
He really is.
It's like a different world up where we are in New York, right? So we have, still not fully open. Kids just went back to school about 2 days ago, full time. Mm-hmm. So it started 3 days ago, Monday. And we always, Mike Lomas, one of our partners, has always said we in New York treat it like COVID in a box. So like they just put everything together, like everyone is the same. This is how it's got to be done. Where DeSantis has gone the model you always say. There's an easy way, and then there's a more difficult way that's going to take a little more time and more thought. Right. DeSantis has gone that way. We've taken the easy way of shutting everything down.
Yep, simple. Right.
So and obviously from that, there's been a lot of challenges. Businesses have closed. Mm-hmm. Schools, kids are not getting the education they probably should be getting. And you wanted to talk about this, and I totally agree with you. There's a mental health aspect of this, right? Mm-hmm. It's not just as easy to say, oh, you lost your job, you'll be fine. Right. Oh, you're not going to school, you're not going to see your friends, you'll be fine. Don't worry about
blame
it.
COVID, right?
Yeah, it's COVID's fault, right? But we've seen suicide rates with especially teens rise through the roof, right? Mm-hmm. Suicide attempts, actual suicide. So it's a very scary thing to think about long term. And this is just the beginning. We're only a year in, right? This will have an effect down the road too. But I definitely want to get your opinion on what you've seen and what you think is in our future with this.
Yeah, a couple of things. Governor DeSantis was a Navy SEAL, dude. Those guys would probably kill you just looking at you the wrong way. That hurt, man.
I'd be crying, Uncle, stop looking at me, Governor.
So that guy has got the mental fortitude that the difficult path is, what needs to be done, and that's what those guys are designed or created, have been trained to do, right? I know, running for office, Governor DeSantis, that guy was on like a call or taking a meeting or doing something during COVID always. Yeah. Like he was hearing from everybody on a regular basis. And that helped with navigating, making the tough decisions during this process, which allowed Florida to thrive during COVID and continue to do so. Although, he's getting beat up pretty bad by the media, but at the end of the day, he's doing what he has to do for Florida to be successful.
Right.
As it relates to COVID and the lingering effects of what, this whole thing has done, mental health has, and the feeling of loneliness between technology, isolation, and, people have just lost the sense of together. It's so weird now. You don't used to be able to go and hug somebody. Now it's like, it's
awkward.
It's awkward. Like, we don't know how to communicate. We don't know how to move
can't
our
shake
bodies.
hands.
Can't shake. And all that, man, has led to, how do I tell someone that I'm struggling with mental health? This entire time I got to share a quick story with you guys. We've been talking about winning athlete, and obviously, my life has been one of hard work and commitment and discipline and moving forward. First part of COVID, so I've never struggled with depression ever. About first part of COVID, I was watching a lot of the news at the time, like most people trying to figure it all out. George Floyd had just been killed. The media was like, basically, if you're an African-American male between the ages of like 30 and 45 or some weird range, you're going to die of COVID. You're going to get harassed by the police and be shot and killed. And you're pretty much done, okay? Just whatever you got going on, just cancel it. My daughter, she kind of has a sense of what's going on. She comes to me, Daddy, I don't want to lose you. What's going on? So for 3 days, I found myself in depression. Guys, I was laying on the floor, and I work out every day. I do CrossFit. I still compete. I'm very competitive. In 3 days, I couldn't move. So finally, my wife comes over to me, and she looks at me. She said, John, what are you doing down there? She let me kind of lay there for 3 straight days, and third day she comes over, what are you doing? I said, well, you're not watching the news? We're all I'm gonna die.
You're doomed. Yeah.
I'm doomed. And guys, I could not muster the strength to actually stand up on my own 2 feet and move forward. And I said, God, I've never struggled like this before, because what happened was I let the media tell me who I was and what was going to happen to me, that I did not have a choice in the saying, but the world itself dictated exactly what my future was. Wow. I've never had that happen to me before. So for 3, she comes over, she said, all right, I'm tired of this. So I said, okay. She gives me the kick. She goes, let's talk about it. Okay, all right. What are the facts? You get pulled over by the police? Yeah. What happened? Well, he gave me a warning and let you off. How many times? Every time. Okay.
There's one fact.
Yeah.
So we go through this thing, right?
Okay, she's already got me.
Right?
Our wives have a really good way of winning against us, right?
Yeah. So we go through this thing, and then finally I look at her with tears in my eyes, and I say, you're right. And I get up, and I said, I'm never going to let the media or anyone else tell me who I am, dictate what I'm capable of.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And guys, so what I'm telling you, this mental health crisis that's lingering, is the real deal.
Yeah.
People are being told all this stuff, and they're getting it fed to them from all different places, and they're isolated and they're alone. I'm so blessed and fortunate to have a wife come over and kick me on the third day and tell me,
what if you don't have that?
What if you don't have that?
Yeah.
And you've been a guy, a successful man of commitment, dedicated to, like, I guess, self-improvement and performance driven, and you even were at that kind of moment of despair, like 3 days of being in a despair kind of situation. And so if you're there, man, you can imagine the hundreds of thousands, millions of others that got there too.
They're suffering.
And in that policing issue, we obviously can't have the same conversation that you can about that, but that's what's so sad. I mean, you have kids that just read I keep saying it, read Twitter, read Instagram, see articles on the news. All they think is everybody's out to get them all the time. Right? And that is just a bad way to better your society, right? To put that, I'll call it this way, put that cancer in people's brains, right? Like it's really sad because, like you said, thank God you had a wife, thank God you had a daughter, right? If you're a single male by yourself or a single female by yourself, and you're cooped up in your house because you can't leave, right? With coronavirus, or you're watching the news and you're wrapped up in it, it's not shocking to see the mental health issues in our country are through the roof right now. It's just it's not shocking to see that, right?
I just love, I'm thinking as we sit here, how perceptive your daughter was, like how loving and supportive of a daughter you must have for her to recognize in her dad that I'm afraid for you, Dad. And then to see her, like the way she responded, like that's just so, I don't know, it kind of brings tears to your eyes as a dad, doesn't it? Yeah. To know that. And then, of course, your wife, being a loving, supportive wife, letting you go through those 3 days, but then saying, okay, he needs my hand now. Yeah. It's just terrific. It's a beautiful thing. Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about, as we just get close to wrapping here, about your own constituency and the Palm Beach County Commission and your, I guess your desire to run. What made you want to run, and what makes you think that there needs to be a change that John Maples can kind of fill? And taking the whole county in a different direction. Yeah,
I believe that different experiences from different people add value. And I believe that this county has had a particular vision one particular way. And people want more.
Yeah.
And
describe that to us. What do you mean by that?
So, I mean, when you're predominantly, Palm Beach County is predominantly Democratic, and so you have, and not that all Democrats are bad or not good, but ultimately there's no other voice that kind of questions, hey, why are we doing it like that? Why wouldn't we do it this way? It's more efficient. It costs less. We can save a little bit of money, but we can still reach the people and still help people in a more effective manner. Why don't we use technology in this instead of actually doing it this way? We can still be effective. Just a different perspective that adds value to our community, but still ultimately we take care of the people, but we lift people up, and then we say, all right, hey, let's run, let's go. And obviously being a guy who's worked with a lot of small businesses and lifting our small business at the bedrock of our country, lifting them up, giving them opportunities to run and take care of their people and make decisions for their companies, because they are ultimately responsible. That's why they signed the bottom line to take on whatever risk they took on to get to where they are, and ultimately trust them that they care for their people, and that we're going to lift them up. Obviously, you're going to have some bad eggs here and there, but ultimately, we're looking to move Palm Beach County forward and to continue to grow. And we need leadership that can push us in that direction.
Nice.
And someone who's not scared to take the tough road and not the easy one, because that's convenient, but take one that's a little bit more challenging, that's going to take a little bit more time, a little bit more thought, a little bit more foresight to work towards a goal that lifts ultimately everyone in our community.
That's awesome.
Easy doesn't work for everyone. That's the problem. Easy is not always the best solution. It makes sometimes, I think, leaders think that easy can be done quickly. So if I can get out there and provide this answer quickly, people think I'm being a leader. They think that I care about them. I was very upset when this whole COVID crisis started and the way nursing homes, skilled nursing facilities, assisted living centers were treated, because the simple approach was tell everyone to stay 6 feet apart and wear a mask. Well, my own mom is in assisted living, and that did not work for all of the people, all the residents of her assisted living center. They needed a more complex solution. I think, and I've said this, they should have had hazmat suits on around my mom, not just a mask and standing right next to her, because a lot of these nurses and aides and administration were going home, being exposed and then coming back. But the simple solution was just tell everybody 6 feet apart, masks. The difficult solution would have been, and I think as Governor DeSantis has proven, we need to take phone calls. We need to listen to those people that are out there. What's best for you in your county, in your town, in your village? The effective way of getting the vaccines out was using Publix. Had nothing to do with political donations to Governor DeSantis. I mean, I just give him so much credit. He just seems like a very capable, patient, committed, competent. I mean, all these wonderful words, but he shows it by using evidence and problem-solving skills. And he came up with complex solutions that have worked. They've kept COVID numbers down, kept businesses going, got students back to school.
And he didn't lump everyone in together.
Well, that's right.
In New York, we put whether you're 1 year old or 95, you're all the same people. Right. So, instead of protecting the vulnerable, from the beginning, we've known the thing with this virus is it hurts the elderly the most, right? Yeah. So in New York, we just decided to say everybody's in that grouping, right? So everybody shut down. We're down here. You guys have protected your elderly, right? I mean,
no doubt.
It's predominantly a retirement area down here, right? And that's what was so impressive about DeSantis. I mean, not to get off topic, but that was what was so impressive about him.
And guys, another note, and what Governor DeSantis did is he allowed some of the counties to support, so some of the minority communities out west and some of the folks that work in agriculture or some of the less, they can't get to a Publix or can't get to somewhere. They had mobile buses going to different communities that didn't have necessarily the transport or Publix anywhere near where they were at, and they had these folks going in those communities to help these people get vaccinated. While very slow process doing it that way, but it was still available in communities to get the people whatever they need as it relates to COVID. And I thought that was also a way to be able to reach people who aren't able to go to Publix, and that's not where they shop traditionally. So some of the minority communities were able to get that same support through different space. So another leg up to be able to help move us forward.
It's terrific.
Instead of New York, we were regulating who could get it, throwing out vaccines daily because not enough people fit the criteria. I don't know how familiar you are with New York, but that's what we're throwing viruses or vaccines away because the criteria is, hey, only these people. Well, when there's not enough of those people in that criteria,
open it up.
You're used,
But they wouldn't. That's right. Like you guys, once that criteria was hit, from my understanding, there was lines of people ready to go. Right. We didn't do that up there. We just decided to, garbage them.
Just brutal.
Yeah.
I think we got a wrap.
Yeah.
I'll just say this, and just meeting you for the first time, I think Palm Beach County residents would be well served to have you in that leadership position.
That was awesome talking to you.
Really. I hopefully maybe this isn't the last. I mean, we'd love to have you again, and we'll just kind of keep watching what's going on in the country and then the various states. We'd love to keep getting your opinion on it, and we wish you the best of luck in this race. When is the election now? How long do you have?
So I ran for county commission already, and so now it's just a matter of deciding what's next.
Nice.
And is it state house? Is it Congress? what are we looking at? Where do I have the best chance to be successful and really add value?
Good for you.
Do you think that would be like a 2022 thing or beyond that? What do you think?
I'm hopeful sooner than later.
Okay.
Good.
Sooner than later.
Awesome.
Well, we'll have to get you back on when you make that choice. We'll have another conversation.
Absolutely.
That'd be good.
Awesome.
That'd be
Well, we're going to wrap, folks. Thanks for tuning in to TFG Truth. Again, each and every week, reporting facts, exposing hypocrisy, espousing common sense. Again, a great thanks to John Maples here. Just a stand-up guy, performance-driven guy, conservative-minded, all the things that we try to espouse here on TFG Truth. Keep up the good fight. That's all we can say, right?
That's right.
I'm Mike Hayflick for Mike Sparazza. Again, thank you, John Maples.
Thanks, Mike.
Appreciate it. Love it. Folks, we'll see you next week.